I believe the Pathfinder programme is making a huge difference, not only for older people themselves, but also it's making a big difference for the institutions and organisations that have been working with older people. One of the philosophies that it's based on is actually to try and treat people as human beings. And sadly, it is sometimes the case that people, for understandable reasons, working in institutions and organisations can get so fixated on what they have to do that they don't always look at the person that they're trying to help as an individual. And so what the Pathfinder programme is doing for older people is giving them back some of their dignity, some of their connections to the wider world, and giving them a real sense of independence and an ability to have some say in directing what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And as I say, not only is that helping the older people, for instance, getting out again if they've been stuck in the home, or connecting again with some friends, or a way of doing things that they thought they would never be able to do again. I think it's also, and very importantly, challenging institutions and organisations to think about what they're doing when they connect with older people.
I think that the promoting independence workers, the PIP workers, help people to look after their own conditions, manage their conditions in their own home and prevent hospital admissions. And equally, I think that that then in turn reduces hospital admission and reduces the NHS spend.
I think for me as a GP, the Pathfinder has opened up a whole new opportunity for future ways of working for us in the NHS. I think we would all be realistic in recognising that, particularly in caring for people with long-term conditions, the resources that we have within the NHS are getting squeezed increasingly. We have an ageing population and we have increasing comorbidities with people living with more and more long-term conditions for longer. So we have to recognise that we have to do things differently.
The aim of the conversation, our first conversation, is we call it a guided conversation, and by that means guided by them. So it's whatever they want to talk to us about, their life, their family, what they used to do, what their enjoyments are, what their hobbies are. One of the key learnings for us has been the fact is understanding a bit more fully about what people's barriers are to achieving some of the things they want to do. I think early on we might have expected those to be their long-term conditions, but actually what we've actually found out is that tends to be things like stress, like grief, like just not coping, carer breakdown. Those are the things that tend to stop people moving forward.
Well, before I met you, Caroline, it was getting very boring and very lonely. Living so long, I think I needed more to interest me, and a few calls daily from carers where they've no time to be bothered with you wasn't enough. I wanted people to talk to, and I found that you were supplying that need, and I was looking forward to it every week.
I think it's been absolutely fantastic working with different people, Age UK especially. For me, it's been great to get an outside NHS perspective on things. I've worked in the NHS most of my life, and it's been absolutely brilliant getting new ideas, learning and developing our knowledge as district nurses to help people in the community to gain resilience and to give more support.
One of the learnings we found from the work we've been doing is that generally if somebody's had a hospital admission or a bereavement, an episode in their life, there's generally about a sort of 3-year window where they can still have the aspirations to make changes and do things that they want to do. Some of the people we've worked with are supported by agencies sort of 4 times a day, and they've had that for 10 or 15 years, and that's the way their life is. And it's very difficult then to motivate them and try and encourage them to change the way their life is. But the people that have had a recent bereavement or episodes either of ill health or anxiety or whatever issues they've had, there tends to be a lot more chance to motivate and encourage them to actually change. The coffee morning idea originated from a lady that actually ran a guest house, and it was giving her a sense of purpose in her life, and she agreed to host the first coffee morning in her house.
We're trying to encourage people to be more sociable. I help by doing the teas and coffees and making a cake. I must admit it helps me as well as them. You know, I love listening to their stories, and they're a very lively bunch, but I don't think they're quite so lively at home.
There's somebody to talk to.
Yes. Yes, I know.
And you know that there's somebody there that cares.
And you've got something to look forward to as well.
Yeah.
Put a date in my diary and I look forward to that date.
I think for our patients and clients that we're seeing, the Pathfinder can deliver a support level that it's been very difficult for us in a purely health infrastructure to allow our patients to have. I think we've been very good at looking after their immediate health needs, but health has become so pressured that it's very reactive to people's needs now and not so proactive. And what this has allowed us to do is to actively case find, look for patients who are having quite an impact on the health system and have quite a few health demands on both the doctors and the community nursing time and also the hospital. Identify those individuals and then support them through the PIP workers in managing perhaps some of the more, what we might perceive as the softer parts of the problems, but which actually have a huge impact on those individuals' lives. Because it's allowed for an increase in some time to be spent with those individuals, it's helped them to feel more supportive, and it's helped us enormously as health professionals because we see such a benefit in those individuals' lives.
The shopping trips, so we did the first one to Morrison's, and we actually go around and pick up the clients. Sometimes their wives or partners came as well. One particular person hadn't been out for 3 years, so it's an opportunity for everybody to sort of socialise. And for some people, when they're on their own all the time, it gives them the opportunity to actually eat with other people. So generally you find that they probably eat more than they would if they're at home because they're having conversation and they're enjoying their time. But it's not to be forgotten that the amount of effort that some of these people have to put in to actually arrange carers and actually come out on the trips, it's a tremendous effort for them. But the benefits that they have, they say that it actually lasts them for sort of the buzz of going on a trip. It lasts them for weeks, and they're looking forward for us to be able to arrange another one. So they've got something to look forward to.
When we go out, I love to go to Morrison's, but I'd rather go to a strip show. You know, you took me everything where I would have looked. Not food.
Exactly.
No food.
We just looked at all the jewellery, didn't we?
Jewellery,
And the makeup.
perfumes, makeup, didn't we? Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
We started the group last June, July, and it was on the back of rehab at Newquay Hospital. We all decided that the exercises benefited us so much, but they wouldn't be carried on at home. Individually, you just don't do it. So we decided to start our own club. And we started that, and with the help of Age UK, we've got a trainer who comes in for an hour every week, and we do our exercises and have a cup of tea and chats, and it just benefits all of us from talking about COPD, and it just helps us. We're hoping to get the respiratory nurse back, talk to us about any new things that are up and coming in the world of COPD, and just generally supporting each other and helping each other. The group has helped us with our confidence so much. Supporting each other helps, but also being on the end of telephones. And if anybody doesn't come to group a couple of times, we phone them. There's no pressure, you don't have to come every week, because often with what we have, some weeks we don't feel well, some weeks we have chest infections. It's not as though you have to come every week, it's a support group. Definitely the exercises help us so much.
As a health team, we've really benefited from having the increased breadth of experience that having the volunteers and the PIP workers working with us has brought to us. I think it's opened our eyes to different ways of working and the opportunities that working with other providers and thinking about things in a different way can allow. For me personally, that's been really educational. I've really been encouraged to look at patients where I thought that their dependency levels would only increase and see that actually with quite a small amount of intervention they can be encouraged back to a much lower level of dependency. We know when we're looking at managing long-term conditions that it is completely unsustainable for us to continue in the way that we have, which is encouraging a real health dependency in our patients. And I think this allows us to be able to support patients in a different way.
Ken is somebody who lives at home with his wife. He's got major mobility problems and is in an awful lot of pain in his shoulders in particular and in one of his legs. Because of that, he's unable to get out of the house. And when I met him and sort of went through the process of setting his goals and everything with him, the thing he really wanted to do was to go out for a walk with his dog, Josh, who's a border collie. The last time we took him, for the first time, he actually managed to throw the ball using the sort of ball thrower for the dog, and he was delighted that he'd been able to do that, even with the pain that he was in. I think it hurt him afterwards, but he felt really chuffed with that.
Oh, I think it's absolutely marvellous. You're treated like a human being instead of a poor old worn-out thing in a chair. And you are really treated like a human being, and which is a good feeling. I couldn't help but recommend you because you've been so good to me.
One of the difficulties that we have in health is feeling that we've sort of reached the end of the road, as it were, in terms of anything new that we have to offer individuals. And when we get to that point, we often find that we're struggling to try and find solutions when we really know that we don't have anything additional that can support those folk. And that's disappointing for us professionally, and obviously from a patient's perspective, it's frustrating. They're looking for help and they're asking for solutions and we don't have them. I think what this has allowed us to do is to genuinely be able to turn those people's lives around. It's been fantastic to see people who haven't left their homes being encouraged to take steps towards building their confidence and then going out and being supported to go on trips and encouraged to then continue to do that regularly. And I think that's been really, really inspiring for us as doctors and nurses to see people transformed. It's been brilliant.
I can't get out, and it's wonderful that you can come and take us out for different things. It's wonderful. It's a new lease on life, isn't it? It's really lovely.